Thank you to today's sponsors of this video.
Right, welcome to UK Casuals. We have Mr. Gary Harris. If you follow my channel, you will know he's a regular on Talk from the Terraces. So how are you today, Gary?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, good. So we'll crack on because there's a fair bit to get through. So what I like to do with all my interviewees, Gary, is take them back to the beginning. So can you remember your first football match?
Yeah, I can. I wasn't fortunate. My mum brought me and my brother up on her own, so I didn't have a dad or anything, and to take me along to football. So I had to sort of find football for myself, and it was weird because I was only young and I was in the boys' brigade,
Right?
And there was a Coventry City enthusiast who was living in Milton Keynes at the time. We'd moved up from London, and he took us along to Coventry Leeds United, and I never forget the game. It just enthralled me, everything about it. You know, seeing an old transit. When I say transit, I mean like the Sweeney transit, the square box front, for those old enough to remember. Full of Leeds, giving it loads, going on the road and that. And I was only young. I mean, one of the Greenough brothers was playing for Leeds. That just shows you how long ago it was. John Lukic was in goal for him at the time, I think. Yeah. And I remember watching it, and just, you know, the whole. It was a winter's game. The floodlights are on, and yeah, that was the beginning for me. I can't remember. You know what? I got the program somewhere in the house. 77, something like that. Anyway, I was really young, and but yeah, that was me. And then really had to find my own way with football after that, really. But that was my first ever game. Yeah.
So you've got quite a different story to most people that I interview you. Their dad or their uncle takes them along. You've had football for yourself.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, because like my granddad, he was big Spurs. A lot of my family is Spurs, and he'd gone. He used to go down the lane and watch Spurs, but not when I was around. He'd got a bit older, and obviously he was my granddad, and so he weren't really going. So yeah, it was really strange when I lived in London. My mum bought me a Chelsea bag, so for a couple of years I thought I supported Chelsea because I didn't know anything else. And,
of course not that.
Then we'd moved up to Milton Keynes from London and the Overspill in the 70s, and there was a couple of Scouse lads in my class, and they were part of this supporters group. I ended up going up Liverpool to Anfield and standing on the Kop a couple of times. Sort of, I guess you could say I was supporting them, but it was just because I wanted to go to football after that first experience. Yeah. And I was at the big Kenny Dalglish had gone to Liverpool. Keegan had gone to Southampton after playing at Hamburg. And this was the big return of Kevin Keegan. I remember I was on the Kop that day. The Dalglish versus Keegan. Liverpool won 2-0. But I've been up there a couple of times, stood on the Kop. I went to Villa Park with them and watched them play Villa the year Villa won the cup. So yeah, I find my own way to eventually my love of football and my love of Watford in the end, you know.
So yeah, I was just about to move on to that question, Gary. So it's fair to say that you've been about to a lot of football stadiums, watched a lot of football. So why Watford, mate? When did you start supporting Watford?
So I'm actually born only about 8 miles from the ground, in all fairness. So I was born down in Kingsbury, and so I'm sort of, if from where I was born, that would be my local club. Although we lived in London, I was born in Harrow, sort of thing. So, or Kingsbury near Harrow, and what actually happened was a really weird story. This because my mum had saved up to buy me a football kit. I'd just gone to school. About 1978, something like that. It was. I don't know what it was, 12 or whatever. And she took me to the sports shop, saved up, buy a football kit, right? And they were in packs, like, so you'd get the top, the shorts, and the socks. And I could choose. I remember a few. One of them was West Brom. I looked at a West Brom kit, funny enough. Like, Milton Keynes was a bit of a mixer match, so I didn't, you know. And I actually ended up picking. At that time, I wasn't supporting Watford, but I picked a Watford kit. I want the Watford kit, you know. So it was about a year after they'd beat Man United famously in the League Cup, you know, and in '77. And so I picked the Watford kit and was all proud at school wearing my Watford kit and that. And then what materialised from that about a year later or so was they were on the match of day in an FA Cup game, and I was round one of my aunties, and I don't know what age I was, so yeah, about 13, something like 12 or 13, and my granddad went there. Oh, why don't you go down and watch Watford? It's local, it's easy enough to get to from Milton Keynes. And thought, yeah, that's a good idea. I spoke to a mate of mine and at school, and yeah, we went down, and Watford winning 3-0 was my first game.
Happy days.
Went on from there. I
Yeah.
loved every minute of it. I still remember going, the feeling of walking down and hearing the crowd and the smell.
Nothing else like it.
We all know, everyone who watches this who's been there, they know that feeling and the floodlights, you know. Oh, man.
Yes, there's nothing else like it. You can't get that feeling anywhere.
Broken glass bottles all the way along the wall. You wouldn't get that today. Cemented in, broken
health
bottles.
And safety. Oh,
and all that going on. It was about 50p to get in or something really stupid.
So you, after being about as a kid, you got your Watford kit. I would say subconsciously there was something going on in the back of your nut. Why you chose the Watford kit? Who knows? Not a psychologist, it's just a general observation.
Mate, I think it's just fluke, mate, if I'm honest. Like, my granddad just went, watch Match of the Day. Why don't you go and watch them? And I thought, yeah, let's do it. And did it, you know. And it actually had nothing to do with the Watford sock. It was just convenient that I could wear the Watford sock to the game.
Yeah, and like you said, Watford is your local team.
Yes. There's a lot of weird coincidences around why I've ended up.
Yeah, I think so, and it's kind of maybe fate if you believe in that sort of thing. So when did you start going regularly, Gary? With your
literally from them, literally immediately, like 1979, 1980. So it was 79-80 season, and literally, yeah.
So I asked my interviewees, and this is a Football Casual channel, and I ask all my interviewees this channel. So when did you start getting involved?
I mean, not at first. I mean, at first you go, but I just used to love the buzz of it all and that, and then like when it was going, watching it and all that. And I've heard that said on a few of your interviews, and it's true. You go there as a young, and you just say, oh yeah, and that animal instinct. When you're stood in the terraces watching, it's there, even though you're young. Yeah. And I remember clambering onto the pitch as a young and stuff like that. But, you know, involved, you know, I was never a face or nothing like that. I was never, you know, but I just loved it. I just was part of that crowd, part of that group. You know, never, like I say, I wasn't a top boy or nothing like that, but I was always around it. And
many were. Yeah, it was the 80s. It was rife.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you were a young lad going to football, the chances were you're going to get involved.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah, of course.
Whether you liked it or not. I mean, you know, but. Yeah, it was different. I mean, Watford wasn't like your West Hams and your Millwalls and stuff like that. You know what I mean? it's probably harder for us because we never had the numbers, and you'd have like them turn up with huge numbers and that, you know what I mean? It's quite when you were really young, it's quite scary really when you think about it. When I think back, you used to get a buzz out.
Yeah. I mean, away games, you really were taking your life in your own hands.
Yeah. It wasn't maybe, I mean, like I say, I mean, as a real young'un, you know, what the big lads did was what they did, you know.
You were just bouncing about in the background.
Yeah, sort of, and you'd just want to be there and be part of it, you know, and then as you got a bit older, you got more involved, didn't you? Really, and
you look forward to the weekend.
We had a little group because I was living in Milton Keynes, and I'd sort of recruited. I'd recruited loads and loads in Milton Keynes. I turned half my school into Watford fans. It's really. I'm not kidding either. There's a lot of Watford fans in Milton Keynes because of me. It's really weird. And their families have gone on to support Watford. You know, it's like my mate Martin passed away a couple of years back now. He was my classmate, and bless him. And his two lads, one of them's an absolute flaming lunatic, but I'm at Coventry City one day, and I'm seeing this guy running down the terraces to have a go at the stewards, young lad, and he had beards written on his back. I'm thinking, that's my mate's name. And next thing I know, there's me mate. I ain't seen him in a couple of years, and then his whole family, his whole family support Watford, and and that was me. I just recruited my own little Milton Keynes,
a little firm, a little crew every weekend.
Travelling down on the train was dangerous on your own sometimes. You know?
As many young men did, and then these little crews all meet up, and they then become the firm.
Like I say, you know, I know the majority of lads at Watford, and you know, it's I was just part of it. I was never a face or anything like that.
No, that's.
Many.
There were only a few main faces of teams, and you became a face within your firm for different reasons, an organizer or one that got stuck in first or whatever.
Not living in Watford itself, you know, living away. We sort of had our own little thing that we used to have a bit of fun and games with, just our own little group, you know, and then you'd join up with that, especially when Luton were around. But you got to know them all, you know what I mean? It
That's
was like
what football is.
When you lived away.
Well, I dare say the main lot would say, "Oh, here comes the Milton Keynes lot," or whatever.
You used to get a bit of ribbing, You used to get a bit of ribbing, like. It's really funny at Watford because you had a Hemel lot. You had all different groups really, you know, and because that were in there, you'd have singing Hemel songs or whatever, you know, and stuff like that. It's quite fun.
Well, I interviewed.
I'm going way back, by the way.
I interviewed Jake Payne of Portsmouth, author of 6.57 crew. And he said, and it was very much the same, Gary. Different areas of Portsmouth all came together. So he said it was a very disorganised rabble that made the 657. It's as simple as that. So I'll fast forward that you obviously had your time as a young man, got involved in football, loved the buzz, loved the terrace culture, and the clobber. And so then it's fair. I interviewed Phil Hickin, and so I'll do the same as you, Gary. It's fair to mention the FLA in this because you was quite a big part of the Football Lads Alliance, wasn't you?
I was part of the Football Lads Alliance.
Yeah.
I guess I got more involved with the DFLA. I was. I was an admin and that on our group and involved with the meetings and stuff like that. Yeah.
So how did that start, Gary? How did you get involved with the FLA?
Mate, I don't know. I kept asking myself, how did I get here? To be honest, I got invited by the guys at Watford because I'd organised some fan groups and did some work with the club to play on a night with Troy Deeney and stuff like that for like local fans that lived outside of Watford, and so they knew I'd sort of like had experience in running a group and all that. So I got invited in to help out, and I didn't really know a lot about it at the time, what was going on. So yeah, I said, yeah, of course I did, because I believed in what they were doing and everything, and it was amazing what had gone on, and yes, I was part of that, and I wasn't actually on the first march, which is a big regret. I thought it was amazing what I've seen of that, and but the second one, the big one, then yeah, I was part of that.
What was that day like?
Phil, obviously Phil. I mean, Phil was on. I was stood down the bottom end of the. I was stood on the ground floor, like on the tarmac, you know, because I was an admin, but you know, I wasn't involved in the actual day itself, other than being an admin for
hosting
Watford.
Sort of thing. Can you tell us what that day was like? The second march, because it was a massive attendance, wasn't it?
I was mad. It was absolutely mad, and you know what? I mean, obviously, I talk. You know, no doubt we'll talk later about radio, but I obviously talked to a lot of people all around the country, and a lot of fans, and I've got to know an awful lot. And mate, they all talk about that day with such a buzz. It's mad. And I mean, funny story that day was the twats shut the escalators down in Hyde Park Corner, right? Right. So we've got off the tube, a load of us, and gets to and it's like looking at Mount Everest, right? and the fucking escalators ain't working, and I'm like, I don't breathe that well anyway. So anyway, the funny thing was, gets to the top, and it was like a casualty ward. There was like people fucking doubled up, and it was like it was like climbing a mountain. I don't know why they turned it off, or it just being awkward or what. But you never forget coming out of the tube station, walked into right big mob of Bolton Wanderers. I'll never forget this fella with his bulldog, proper, you know, bulldog and that, and chatting away to them. And you didn't realise, you know, I came out of the tube station, and we had a great little meet. Watford did as well for our club. It was a great meet, and we'd all met up and we came out, and I don't know, it was a couple hundred Bolton in front of us. It's like, fucking hell, what's going on here? Yeah. And great lads were chatting away to them. And then you got up, and the bus was across Park Lane, and you were walking up. Mate, and I'm glad I was, really, because I got to see West Ham arrive, but we was this side of the bus where you had the masses, the other side. Right. Because you couldn't get the other side of the bus. No. Too many, yeah. Fucking heaving. And it was like, I don't know, you just couldn't believe what you were seeing. And when you thought, I think I see your interview with Phil, and Phil was saying, like, just mob after mob after mob. Well, we got there maybe a bit later, and it was packed. And you thought, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? And then next thing, West Ham come up the road from the opposite end. Yeah, I remember watching it. Yeah. Shit. I'm like stood there, and I was fortunate enough that we were late, because we was the other side of the bus where the majority were that side. So I was like right there as they were coming up, and I couldn't tell you. I mean, I didn't see some of the other mobs arrive, but West Ham turned up with such big numbers. Fucking hell, I just couldn't get over it, mate. It was like mad. Because you know, and yeah, it just, and it, you know, everyone talks about that buzz about the numbers, but you know what? There was, please say 73,000, whatever the number was, whether it was 73 or a bit less, but it couldn't have been that much less because it was huge. there was no arrests. There was pure silence in that march. And that was all down to the fact that there was a mutual respect amongst everyone on that march.
Oh, just about.
I think that's what the true buzz was, that mutual respect.
I was just about to say that, Gary, because
other, like-minded people.
Yeah, you had all these firms turning up. Like you said, the site was a sight to behold. And, there's no doubt that there was a lot of lads there that would have had it with each other. But there was complete respect because you were all there for one reason. One reason.
Don't get me wrong. I suspect there was some frolics once it was all over.
Yeah,
I heard a few things, but yeah, there was a complete respect. Everyone done what was asked of them. Everyone was in perfect behaviour, and that come from respect.
Yeah,
and I think like-minded people of our age are brought up with respect. You respect your elders. You respect elements of life. You show respect, and I don't think that is something that is natural today. It's not common today, is it?
Do you think that's lost?
Certainly not. Today, these young ones don't respect their elders at all.
You think that's lost?
Not all, anyway.
You think that's lost then today with the youth?
And I think that if I'm honest with you, I think that's what captured everyone's imagination that day, was that level of respect everyone showed each other, and that respect for what they were there for. It's just an amazing day that will never be forgotten by the people that were there. One last question about the FLA, because I want to speak about radio in a minute. The FLA was a massive thing. The numbers were massive. What went wrong, mate? Well, I mean, obviously, when there was a split, I think that didn't help no one, did it? I mean, the FLA then, and that was circumstance with people doing things what they did, and I was part of the group that was making decisions. Well, no, I wasn't part of the main element. But I was part of the vote. There was a vote to want to carry this on in a different manner because it was going wrong. And, the ins and outs were what they were. And I think that was such a shame. I think that lost the momentum when that split happened.
I think
we tried extremely hard to keep that going under the DFLA. I see your interview with Phil, and I think he probably nailed it when he said, we maybe naively got involved with things we shouldn't have done and should have just kept it as a movement to voice our disapproval for things that this country were not doing, or the powers that be weren't doing. And obviously the split was the start of, I think, the loss of momentum started with the split, and then the DFLA, as hard as we tried, were getting annihilated in some respects by a constant barrage that we weren't wanted then. All I would say for those listening to the show that were on that march day, one of the things I hear a lot of is the silent march don't work, and oh my God, it did. And what people maybe don't know, and I got to see some of it because of my involvement with the DFLA in marches and organising them and having to talk to our friends in blue on certain occasions, was, mate, they were quaking in their boots. We could have owned London that day, and the police knew it. Could have owned London. I mean, there was nothing the police could have done if that went bandy, and they knew that, and the authorities were really opened their eyes. Whether you got the media or not, the media will never support nothing that ain't woke and left wing.
Of course
in
they
my
won't.
view.
Football lads as well, forget it.
Yeah, and so but it, obviously there's an element of the DFLA still going, and good luck to them. But the
It's
left
not the same.
are a very well-oiled machine, and we were football lads getting involved with something that maybe, we didn't truly understand, and we should have kept it innocent and just been football lads airing our opinion on what we weren't happy with at the time. That was the terrorism and stuff, and then we did move on to grooming gangs, and so we weren't happy about that. And that was directed at the authorities, not at Muslims or anything like that. Everything we did was directed at the authorities.
It was a pressure group, wasn't it?
Councils.
Yeah.
Why were they letting it happen? That people, what I'm going to say is this, and then we'll move off the subject.
Yeah.
I was heavily involved in it. And I'll say this. Yes, there was dickheads, right-wing, far-right dickheads that got involved with marches. What can you do? Someone walking off the street. But all those people that were involved with trying to run it and organise things and everything else, there wasn't no racists in there. There weren't no racists in there. Get it right. Racists. There weren't none in there.
No.
They're good-hearted people that just wanted to voice an opinion on something that wasn't right. And,
what I'll say, Gary, is that with the sort of numbers that the FNA had on their marches, you cannot vet everybody. It's impossible. And
no. I mean, look, there was mistakes and on our part. We were just football lads. We weren't politicians. We weren't activists. We were completely new to us, and we learned a lot. It's a shame we didn't knew what we knew now. If we knew it before, it might have been a different story. But
exactly,
yeah.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. So we'll move on to another big stage in your life, and that's radio. So you were involved with Away Day Radio, which when it started was the name Away Day Radio really resonated with football lads. And I just think Away Day Radio took off, and this was a radio station for football lads. Football lads never had nothing like that before. So can you tell us how you got involved? And
well, the funny thing was, it started with me in my bedroom doing lockdown live, just being a twat, really.
Lockdown live.
Playing music, getting drunk, getting absolutely slozzled, and just playing all the music everyone loved. And we were all in lockdown, and I was getting loads of views. I mean, it was thousands. It was fucking mad. And but the one thing is, Facebook kept shutting you down and everything, because of copyright and stuff
music,
like that.
Yeah.
But we were, lockdown was set in, and we thought, I didn't really want to keep doing Facebook because it just kept fucking doing my nutting with copyright warnings and blocking your voice, blocking the sound and all that. And so I was chatting away at Simon, and I said, let's do a radio station, because I sort of was doing a bit of Facebook Live on a radio station for somebody as well.
Right.
And we sort of learned how easy it was to set up a radio station. So we did. We sat down, we thought about it, and come up with the name Away Day Radio, which was like, wow, this is what a fucking name.
Genius.
The concept was about football. The concept was about football. It was about, and that's what it started out as. And then, like, I got Stevie Guy from West Ham involved. We got Dean from Birmingham involved, and then another chap from Birmingham, Gary, he got involved because he brought some money into the equation, which allowed us to get started.
Of course,
and off the ground. And we set up a website, and we started doing all the interviews, the football lads, and mate, it was. I mean, the radio station was all right. It was never, you know, an internet radio station is never going to be massive, you know, because where do people listen to the radio? Millions listen in the car. They don't listen at home. Some do. I know, like, you still get big listeners, but you know, but it was the concept. It was like this niche concept.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, appealed to everyone, and the website was phenomenal. I mean, it was getting brilliant hits, and the interviews were going down really, really well. We then started focusing on some of the unsigned music bands that got football, but they're football related. You know, Skinner Brothers, Millwall. You've got Skylights were. Leeds, Section 60 from Sheffield, Project Bolton Wanderers. So it was all related to football, even the music element that we were starting to get involved with. And I must admit, at first we thought we'd struck gold, but you know, it weren't easy. It was hard work. I learned a lot. It was really enjoyable, but the 5 people involved, you know, and like every boy band, I suppose, eventually maybe you don't all see eye to eye.
Yeah, and that as you mentioned, that made you move on from Away Day Radio.
Yeah, we couldn't settle our differences, and unfortunately, I didn't have a choice but to walk away in the end.
Yeah, enough said. Obviously, there was you had to walk away because you wasn't seeing eye to eye, and if it doesn't feel right, you have to move on. So you then moved on to Pitch Radio, which you're still at.
No, Pitch Radio's over, mate. No, it's gone, finished. It finished on Sunday.
Oh, it's no more.
I didn't overly get that involved, if I'm honest.
Right.
What it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to what had gone on. A few of the DJs decided they were going to leave Away Day Radio as well. There was a bit of bad blood going off at the time as well between some of the DJs, you know. And so there was a decision, well, you know, I really enjoyed doing this, so carry it on. So they racked their brains, a few of them, come up with a name, and we helped set it up. And I was involved at first. I was doing shows and all that for them, but I sort of, after Away Day, for me, that was over. That was
didn't feel the same.
That was finished. It was never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get that involved anymore. I from the day one, I told them I wouldn't be that involved. So I was quite honest.
No.
And fair play, they've enjoyed it. They give it a good crack, but I think it's a lot of commitment. And to be fair, coming out of lockdown and stuff like that, a bit more normal life going on, then there is such a massive need for all that. But what I take from the whole experience, from starting off doing my Facebook Lives to setting up Away Day Radio, to being involved initially for a little while with Pitch Radio, is all I got so much feedback about helping people through lockdown, and people would look forward to a show on a Friday night, and then with the Away Day, you know, there was people really enjoying that through a really bad time in our existence, I guess. Yeah, and we did a weekend just before. I'd already actually handed my notes in and said I'm pulling out of all this. Funny enough, before the Isla weekend. But I said I'm going to hang around for the Isla weekend because I wanted that to be a success.
Yeah, no, and I think
it absolutely was. And
that's I mean, that's a lot of integrity, Gary. You knew at the time you were leaving Away Day Radio, this was important.
Yeah, I wasn't the only one who knew it was over. You know, Steve did as well. But the Isla weekend, that little girl just wanted to raise money for her and help her, you know,
and you did.
We did £12,000 over a weekend. It's phenomenal, brilliant.
Yeah, No, really.
Brilliant. And so I take away that whole experience that we helped people when they needed help, and we raised £12,000. That lovely little girl, Isla Caton, you know, and
yeah, no,
no one can take that away from anyone. That was, you know, something to really look back on. The whole experience was, I take that from it.
Yeah, and also personally, I was involved with a couple of shows on Away Day Radio, and it helped me kick on to do this and my podcast. So good things came from that whole situation.
Oh, look, I never dreamed I'd be doing that. I never dreamed I'd be interviewing people. And to be fair, we interviewed some pretty big people.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Egan, Dave Courtney, Eddie Webber, Colton, obviously, came on. You know, as well as some of the football lads and yourself and that. And I learned a lot from it. I enjoyed it, and it's something I want to do more of. That is something I really did enjoy, was interviewing people and that, and it's something I'd like to continue to do in one format or another, really. But
no, that was good. So we'll move on to the present. You're now involved in a Facebook page and a Facebook group with Simon Wilton called Proper Football.
That's right. Yeah.
How did that come about, mate?
Instagram, Telegram, by the way,
all the platforms. Give it a plug. I mean, yeah, give it a plug.
How did that come about? Look, you know, Simon and me did a lot of work. We proper through FLA, DFLA, Away Day Radio. We've sort of become a team, and so we needed something. We really did. And we didn't know what, and we didn't know how, and we didn't know what it was going to be, but we knew something was going to come along, you know.
Yeah.
And I went with Simon beginning of the season up to Mansfield to watch his beloved Bristol Rovers, and whilst I was in the ground, I was doing a bit of videoing and that, and I did this one video which. It just well, we've talked about this before anyway, but I did a video and it was just, we just got back the first time you were allowed in the ground, and I captured this goal, absolute superb goal.
Oh, perfectly. Well.
A really good goal. And it just, I was videoing it from the point he scored the goal to see the goal, and then I was able to take in the whole atmosphere of what it meant, and so we put it up. Just on our Facebook pages, and it just went mad, and it was like that was the calling, you know. It was like, right, we need to do something, you know. We need to do something, you know, and proper football, because I don't like modern day football at all. I really am anti modern day football in a lot of ways, but I still think there's a lot of proper football out there, this allows us to try and promote all sorts of grassroots football, and we're only getting it going, and we've got a lot more to come, and I'm looking forward to the future of that, and I hope it helps some of the lower clubs to get a bit of publicity, you know.
Publicity, no, definitely, and I think that you being a mutual at Mansfield against Bristol City.
Mansfield Rovers, by the way.
Rovers all. Simon won't like that.
You just pissed off the blue half of Bristol there.
Simon won't like that. You being a mutual, you really, and I've watched the video, and like you say, it had thousands.
It's just views. Lucky,
really caught the emotion of when a goal goes in.
No skill involved whatsoever. It was pure fucking luck. It was all it was. It was just at the right time, right place, and why I started record. And the funny thing was, I'd done a couple of videos, and I thought, I ain't putting that. That's shit. And I didn't even. That was so. All I was trying to do was film, because fair play to Mansfield as well. The atmosphere was absolutely bouncing in that ground.
Yeah.
And the Mansfield fans were spot on. The Bristol fans were spot on. Bristol Rovers fans. I have to get it right.
I apologise. Yeah.
And it just, I don't know why. Anyway, it's just luck. There was no skill involved. So pure luck. And now we're building a community. And what I hope is that, you know, as much as I don't like modern day football, I still support Watford, and you know, they're my club. And lots of people support their clubs in the Premier League and
of course they do. Yeah,
the Championship, you know. But I think a lot of them also don't like modern day football, just as I don't. And a lot of them do like the idea of maybe, you know, I know a lot of Leicester lads that go to Colville, and I'm going to do a piece on that. Forest, you know, Boats is so involved with Colton Town.
Yeah.
My missus is from there as well, so I am going up there hopefully this month to the Corby game, which Gary's sponsoring, and do a piece on that. And he's doing immense work up there, and I know he gets a lot of support from.
He's really involved,
you know, and it's really good to see. And so proper football will cover the Premier League and stuff like that, but not in any massive way, because you get it covered everywhere. So proper football will definitely try and focus on non-league and lower league football whilst incorporating for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And we're only getting it going. We're only just started, and it's trickling along. We're building a good community up. People watching, if you've not got on there, get on there, because we've got lots of good ideas for the new year.
Yeah, no, it's a good group.
To old school football.
Yeah, no, it's a good group, and I think that I ask a lot of guys that I've interviewed, the lower league is untouched by corporate and prawn sandwich brigade and all the rest of it.
Well, you say that, and then you got Wrexham, so they're obviously been touched by Hollywood.
Well,
you know, and so. You know, look, don't matter. That's a great story. And all right, if Wrexham in 10 years' time are up in the Premier League and become a corporate club like some have, I'm fairly sure a lot of them Wrexham fans will think, I don't know if I really want to be up there. But for now, let them have their glory, you know. And but yeah, the non-league is building the atmospheres in the grounds is there like it used to be.
Brilliant. Yeah,
you know, and the gates I covered off on the previous podcast I did with you. Some of the attendances are unbelievable. I mean, like say Wrexham, talk about them, just short 10,000 Saturday. I think it was 7,000 just short Grimsby. You know, big crowds.
Yeah. Before we finish up, Gary, we'll talk about a fantastic podcast that you're involved in. Probably the number one on the internet, Talk from the Terraces. With myself, Martin King, and Dave Camp.
This is well, people can't see you on the screen with that head. Jesus.
It's massive. My ego is huge. No, we talk about football in general, not only what's going on the field, but off the field. Out every Monday, just to give it a plug. And I'm enjoying it. And like I say, Gary, that it probably links all the way back to my first show on Away Day Radio. So there you go. It's all linked in.
Yeah, it's kept my interest in doing stuff like this going now. So you've returned the compliment, I guess.
Yeah,
I've always got something to say. You know, I'm very passionate about things, and you know, about a lot of what goes on in football and outside of football, and you know, I think it's good to have platforms where you can talk about it. You know, Definitely. We can talk about things. There's things, you know, that should be talked about. You know, that very corporate. So much corporate bullshit goes off in the league and that, and it's all a load of bollocks, half of it. And you know, you need some platforms that will talk about it and
speak the truth. Yeah.
And well, to speak your mind and have your opinion. You know, I've spent tens of thousands of pounds following. I've followed England. You know, I've been abroad with them. I've been abroad with Watford. Luckily, in 1984, I was in Kaiserslautern, the only time we ever got into Europe. But at least I was one of the lucky few that experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, home and away, it's just a dear game. And I look back for 40 odd years, whatever it is, I've been supporting Watford, and I've been to other clubs like Northampton and stuff like that as well. And mate, the money you spend, you've got every right to have an opinion. You've got every right to have your say, because I've invested. I'm an investor. I'm a fucking shareholder in football, because I've invested like everyone else has, tens and tens of thousands of pounds in my lifetime. And that gives me the right to have a bloody opinion, whether they like it or not.
And this is a platform to do it, Gal. Yeah, this is the platform to do it. And again, at the risk of repeating myself, this is why I do it, to give football lads a fair shout, because the mainstream media only want to demonise football lads. We're all violent, we're all thugs, and that's the end of it, if you read the papers. But watch this interview and other interviews, you'll find out that football lads have you know, they're just like anybody else. You know,
look, you know, you got people that there's thousands and thousands of good people out there that, and you know, we've all grown up, we've all had children, a lot of us got grandkids. We've had so much life experience. We learned so much on the streets when you were younger, you know, especially being in Watford, mate. You had to learn quick. Fucking hell. You know, you learn a lot from it, but you also learn respect, and I'll come back onto that. And you know, I just it's just what I see going on in the world today. It's just shame, and that's why, you know, even if it's just for a couple of decades, why us oldies still around, maybe this what you do, proper football, what we do, just keeps a bit of that alive, you know. And what I will say is, I see a lot of youth lads, and I've met a lot of youth lads from different clubs, and I have to say, I can see a lot of us in them, and you know, and they do seem to have respect. You know, the ones I've met, they respect you as an older lad, and that's something that is really lacking in society. And I'm not saying football firms are the way forward to.
Well, not angels,
right? But
but
you know, I don't know. I'm a dinosaur, maybe, but
no,
I'm what I am,
and a good one at that, Gary, and a good one at that. So that has been Mr. Gary Harris of Proper Football. If you haven't joined their Facebook group, then please do so, and also have a look at their Facebook page. The links will be in the description. Just like to thank you very much for tonight, Gary. And
cheers, thank you.
And there'll be more videos coming from UK Casual soon.